often we hear that organisations have their contact database in a very decentralised way. Obviously, that's going to lead to a lot of silos and duplication, and of course, that on top of it invites costly delays and inefficiencies. But most importantly, organisations are also missing out on very strategic insight that often comes from cross-study or panel-based research. And that's because there's no consolidated view of all of their customer profiles in one place. So how do we help you overcome this? Well, first of all, note that Qualtrics offers that centralised database of each of your contacts. And that's not just across your survey data, but also it updates across demographic or operational data as well. Now, what's really critical is that we also have a timeline of each of the touch points or each of the interactions that a contact has with your brand. This allows us to do two things. On the one hand, it allows us to define segments. In other words, we may want to run very targeted research with a segment of high spend urban commuters. So this is where we've defined a segment based on these conditions. In this case, they're urban commuters who have a yearly spend of over $500, who are also promoters of our brand. But critically, we also don't want to invite anyone who has received an invite in the last 6 months. Now, once we've defined our segment, it allows us then to automate distributions. So that could be through email, through SMS, through WhatsApp, or even pushing a survey through your website or to an online portal. Now, note that the more we contact individuals, we need to be conscious that we're not over-contacting or spamming. We also need to manage things like contact duplication and also consent. So in this case, note that we can also define particular rules in terms of how many days need to elapse between each survey contact, or even the number of surveys that can be received in a given amount of time. Now, within this, we can also prioritise certain touch points. So maybe there are certain surveys or certain segments that should receive surveys a little bit more often. So in other words, what we're doing here is we're allowing you to manage your contacts in a more strategic way to get insights on demand. And we're doing all of this without inviting the risk of over-contacting or frustrating your customers. And why is all of this important? Well, first of all, it allows you to maximise the ROI from your panel, but it also reduces the cost and resources that come from duplication of efforts and resources.